Hey everyone. In this video, I want to show you some tips that's going to elevate three-point editing. So far, we've gone over inserts, we've gone over overwrites. Now let's take it up a notch here with some extra tips here. So the first tip I want to show you is using endpoints on your timeline. So what do I mean by that? Let me just show you here. So as you know, if we do an insert overwrite here, overwrite versus an insert, we know what that does. If I were to move my playhead over here, we know that an overwrite or an insert basically does the same exact thing. So I'm going to move this playhead here. Actually, I'm going to set something called an endpoint on my sequence here. So I'm going to move my playhead here in the middle of the clip, and I'm going to set an endpoint there with I. And then I'm going to move the playhead over here on purpose so you can see the visually of what's going to happen. So when I hit overwrite, naturally you're going to say, well, so far what we've seen from overwrite is that it's going to lay the clip down and sync up to the third point, the playhead, right? It's going to go over here like that. Actually, let me click and drag, right? That's what we're supposed to see, right? Let's see what happens now that we've introduced the endpoint here. I'm going to hit overwrite period. All right. So what happened? Well, I'm going to undo. It decided to skip. I'm going to click. What happened is if I hit overwrite, it's going to no longer go to the playhead. And it decided, you know what, I'm going to move over to the endpoint on where the endpoint is on the sequence instead. And it decided to do that right there. I just went ahead and let it go, right? So a general rule is that if you have an endpoint on your sequence, that will take precedence over the playhead. The playhead no longer will function as the third point. It'll be the endpoint on the sequence. And so keep that in mind when you are editing. It's just so that you're aware that if you have an endpoint anywhere in your sequence, be careful, because sometimes you're not paying attention and you may accidentally have an endpoint somewhere down the timeline, and you move your playhead and you hit the overwrite or insert. It's going to all of a sudden jump over to the endpoint in your sequence, and that was probably something you didn't intend to do. All right, so that's one tip there. I'm going to hit Option X to get rid of my endpoint, and now talk about something called source patching. Now, source patching are these little V1 and A1 buttons on the left side of your timeline here. This is the difference. And now you see two V1s and two A1s. Don't get it confused here. This is something entirely different from source patching. The right side here, the V1s and the A1s, don't even worry about that. That's something for another lesson altogether. But this is, if we were to hover over it, it tells us exactly what it is here. See, on the left side, it says source patching for inserts and overwrites, which I'm going to go over with three-point editing. Here, it says toggle the track targeting for this track. So this is for track targeting. We're not going to go over that. We're going to go over source patching. So the thing that you need to know about Premiere is that tracks matter. Tracks are very important, and understanding how tracks work is going to be just elevate your learning of three-point editing. So far right now, V1 is on track 1. And this is track 2, and this is track 3. You can see the number here, 1, 2, 3 on the toggle track side, right? You can see that this is the third track. And on audio, this is A1. This is the second track of audio, and this is the third track. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this button in this empty space and move this button over to the second track. And let's go ahead and move the playhead here to set my third point. And now I'm going to hit overwrite. And let's see what happens here when I hit overwrite. All right, so what happened is that the clip from the source monitor followed along and listened to the three-point edit, which is the third point, the playhead. But I also added this extra layer by source patching it. Instead of over here, I laid it up here on V1. Pretty cool, right? It gives you so much more control and flexibility. I'm going to hit Command Z, and now I'm going to do an insert edit instead. Cool, right? So now look at that flexibility that what source patching does. I'm going to go ahead and hit Command Z, and now I'm going to do A1 down on the second track, and I'm now going to hit period for overwrite. And see that, how it works? And now I'm going to do insert. And there you have it. In fact, I'm going to also go down, let's go to a different part. And I'm just going to keep using that same clip, but I'm going to go ahead and source patch it on the third tracks here. Take a look, I hit overwrite for that. And then I'm going to bring it down to V1 and A1. I'm going to hit overwrite there. And then I'm going to move it to, let's just mix it up. Let's just do V1 there. And let's do A1 there. I'm just going to get all crazy here. All right, so you can see how source patching and understanding how that works and in conjunction with using the override insert, you can see the power of 3-point editing, right? So I hope this lesson gives you, I hope it opened your eyes to seeing a new method, 3-point editing, compared to drag and dropping. And I hope you could see the power of 3-point editing, the ability to be very precise, as you can see here, with your decisions. So I would say give it a go. Test it out. You know, I'm going to be honest with you, it took a while for me to really get comfortable with 3-point editing. It was rough at first. I was going very slow, but that's how it should start, right? You're not going to just get on a bike and just, especially if it's your first time ever riding a bike, you're not going to just all of a sudden go 50 miles per hour there. It's going to take some time. You're going to start wobbling around a little bit. And that's the same with 3-point editing. It's going to take some time to really get comfortable with the method. So give it a try, see what happens.